right, what is up, Adrenaline Volleyball listeners? We are back here to talk about the middles here for our Future 50 roster that we are announcing today. Starting off, group as a whole is really kind of like we touched on yesterday, probably one of the newest groups.
Right.
Last season, we graduated some serious senior college level talent, and we're ready to get a good look at a bunch of really, really athletically talented girls that maybe haven't gotten their chance to show their stuff just about yet.
Yeah, and I think this group's kind of fun because it's kind of what the Future 50 is about. Names that we will be hearing about and are on the verge of big time careers and even bigger roles for their programs, for their clubs, whatever, and making a name for themselves. They haven't already, right? Their programs probably know about them, their coaches probably know about them. We've got to see a lot of them, but maybe on the statewide level, haven't heard about many of these girls yet. But I think some themes that are common with this group: athletic, right? Mm-hmm. Tall and ready for breakout seasons.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, we look at the classes at a whole, like you said, kind of same theme throughout. But Class A, why don't we start with them? Because I think those are some of the names that are really exciting to us. I know we talk about Abby Brooks a lot. Right. Just a great kid that we saw at team camp last summer. When we were doing some of our testing for top testing, all of a sudden we were looking at the numbers and almost thought her block touch was wrong, thought we maybe messed up a little bit, but no, she's just that tall and long. But she was awesome to see, and she was asking some great questions, was really into wanting to improve, and I think you saw her really break out this season.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think a lot of people, we were lucky enough to get to see her during the summertime, and I know she had a really good club season last year. I think that she improved. She has just continued to grow into her height, and her coordination, her athleticism continue to grow, but like you said, such a great attitude. And then for us, that was a cool thing about the top testing is a lot of people were talking about her. And we were looking at 7 or 8 other people during that time, and all of a sudden we went back and looked at the numbers. We literally were like, who is this, right? And then during camp, she held her own. Fernholtz was there, some of their great middles, and she was as good as any of them, and just continued to grow. We saw them at SummerSlam then, and then she just continued right through the year. Having a great season, got recognized on the state level, a verbal commit to a Division II program. So, right, she obviously has a talent. Other people are seeing that. But Abby Brooks from Madison just can set for a huge senior year and just love her coachability and her attitude. So it's exciting to, reward her and to watch her. The other one, too, that we talk about is, Pater from Sioux Falls Christian. Right, multiple state champion, but you mentioned it before we went on about being an emotional leader for that team, just how she leads, such positive energy when you watch her play.
Yeah, definitely. And not only is she obviously athletically talented, she's kind of grown up playing with Pruis, who was an outstanding middle for Sioux Falls Christian, but
Future 50 last year.
Future 50 last year, yeah, exactly. And I think the thing with Pater is that when I was looking for photos for her, almost all of them were her cheering.
Yep.
So I didn't want to put 7 photos on her edit just of her screaming, but you can really just tell, especially at the state tournament. Got a few clips of her pounding the ground, and she really like I said earlier, just an emotional leader for that team. Very talented team, but doesn't always just take talent to win games. It really takes that emotional stand and that leader, and I think she shows maturity in that way.
Well, and I think we talked, and I keep referring back to the Harrisburg match from last year, watching them, and they're struggling. That what set it was, but all of a sudden she just took over that set. For Sioux Falls Christian at the time, I think they're down 1-0, and so talk about attitude and effort and being a great teammate. And those are things we preach and truly believe in. So that's awesome. But what's even more awesome is when you're a great athlete, a very talented volleyball player, and can put that all together. So excited to see her. She's surrounded by a lot of talent, but don't sleep on her. I think she can continue to get better and better and better, and has the size and the frame, definitely to be a college type athlete. But big things from Brooklyn Payer, from Sioux Falls Christian coming up. And then the next one, we talk about athletic. I think we had talked about Madeline Bragg from Aberdeen Roncalli.
Yeah, definitely. We talk about names that come up during top testing. She was a name that maybe made our watch list, but was a little bit just lost in the mix,
right,
I suppose. And
we don't cover, the program quite as much.
Yep.
In fairness, and we're, the state tournament, we didn't see that, but she showed up at our top testing event in Aberdeen.
Yep, put herself out there, and we were super impressed. She scored, I believe, in the upper 6 range, which is really good.
6.79, I think, total.
Yep, and she was a freshman last year, so she still has a ton of growing to do.
Right.
I think this is going to be a really big off season for her. Maybe didn't play a huge role on her team last year, but we'll really look at that increased role this year and through the club season. Right,
and you're going to watch her, but when she was one of those, we didn't know coming in who she was. The other side of the gym, you're like, looking around like, who's that,
yeah.
right? And you watch her, the vertical, she tests out on the skills, going to continue to develop her volleyball technique and those things as she plays more. But an athlete that will do big things, and people in the northeast part of the state already know about her. But Madeline Bragg, I'm excited to watch her develop her volleyball game. Her leadership. Her leadership, but also her skill level, because the athletic part is there. And I just think she's ready for a huge, all-state type season, possibly next year, even as a sophomore.
Yeah, she's got all the tools definitely. And along with her is also Behrens.
Yep.
I think all 4 of these are A players are probably about the same height, without Brooks kind of bringing them up a little bit as an average. Right. But Behrens is a really long athlete, maybe doesn't have the huge offensive numbers all the time. Because she is a middle, it's hard to put up those numbers every single match. But she did earn Offensive Player of the Year for Parker last season, which is pretty impressive as an underclassman.
Right, so again, Brooke Behrens, Parker, and we noticed her, as we're out scouting and just watching matches, and it's always fun. We kind of get this, it's a joke, because we're always looking like our watch list and whatever, and then we see somebody, and then we look at the program, we're like, oh, she's only a sophomore, yeah, get her name out, right? And we interviewed her, I think we saw her at the Bonhomme tournament, and, did really good things, so she'll fit in, and athletic as well. The height, that obviously goes to the middle. Her offensive game will probably should take another step this year to fit in, and that's kind of the middle position in general, right? Sometimes, depending on their setting situation, it's hard for them to put up some of the big offensive numbers, but a very athletic Class A group, and we led off with them because maybe honestly, the 3 classes, maybe the most potential in Class A.
Yeah, I think they're going to be taking the biggest step from last year. This group of 4 middles from Class A.
Right.
But in contrast, why don't we move to B? Because they are actually they include some of our more experienced middles. And starting off with Hannah Krogh, she's probably if not the most experienced middle on this list right now.
Yep, and Elton Lake Benton.
Yep.
Right, junior.
She hit over 1,000 kills last year. She really does it all for her team. She's one of those go-to players. She doesn't hit in the middle all the time, which makes her a very versatile player, which is great for their team and for her, and shows awesome coachability. Seems like a great girl. Haven't heard, no one says a single bad word about her, but we're excited to see her compete with some of the best in the state, AA, A. All around.
Well, and I think maybe when we talk about some more of the Class B names, it's girls are playing all the way around, and part of that is because of their team. Part of it's skill level and in their game. But yeah, Hannah's one of those that does kind of does everything. Another one in relation to her, and they play against each other during the year. But it was like Jada Kenyon and Jada and actually Ayana Bird, who we're going to talk about from Faith, but Jada Kenyon. From Chester was actually one of the top alternates last year, Class B, and we noticed her at the state tournament 2 years ago playing as an underclassman, overshadowing. You could just tell very high skill level volleyball wise, plays all the way around. And when you talk with Coach Benson about her game, it's just very solid all the way around. Now, the thing with her, and we're talking about skill, and yeah, this is a skill camp, but compete camp. But I'm interested to see just her leadership ability, and if that takes another step, because last year, leadership was probably came from Kenna Larson, who's gone now, right, and somebody like a Jana Kenyon is playing with. They have a lot back for Chester, but she was one who did everything and just a very solid middle who can also move around and does a lot of things in her game.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. All are solid, just a really solid athlete in general. Doesn't have a ton of those up and downs. She's right here all the time. But to go along with her, also a really, really solid player is Kennedy Lieferman. She's one of those do-all players again for Kimball
White Lake, yep.
She's got, over 700 kills to go along with over 700 digs. Two-time all-conference player. Really, really solid, again, all-around athlete that does it all for her team.
Well, and we noticed her at the top testing event as well. She drove up to Aberdeen. First of all, gave her, props for driving in the middle of the week. We know what the roads were like. To drive from Kimball to Aberdeen in the middle of the late shows that she cares and she wanted to put herself out there. Now, if we would have had her Sioux Falls event, Copperlers from Phillip would have beat her for total miles. Yeah. But for her to drive all the way to Aberdeen, first of all, was impressive. And then when she got there, and she actually was in between positions. She's a middle, she's an outside, kind of does everything. But she jumped in with the middles, and it was her and Madeline Bragg that night, going both for blow in every drill, and very comparable players, multi-sport players, but extremely athletic and all-around game.
Yeah, and I think you're going to see her step up leadership-wise, being that upperclassman that has a lot of that experience. I think she's going to really shine this summer against maybe some of the underclassmen and really step up and take that lead.
Well, and it's a good opportunity for her, playing and playing multiple positions to come in and, being from a smaller school to like that next step in competition against some of these girls in the individual drills. But she will definitely hold her own athletically, and how much time she puts in between here and now to see where her skill level goes. Ayana Bird, I hope I'm pronouncing that. I know we go back and forth, but All-State, Faith, 2 years in a row has had very solid state tournaments. I believe all Class B tourney team last 2 years, an alternate again last year on the Future 50, and again has to do it all for her team. But as a kid, I'm really excited to see how she does getting the opportunity to go against these kids. First of all, West River, not as many athletes make it, right? Being from a smaller school, get the recognition, huge chance for her to come in and show what she has against everybody else.
Yeah, and I think she has the height. She has all the tools. She's right there. Like you said, I'm just really excited to see her against that talent from all around the state, because I think, she's used to that West River volleyball and really being that go-to player, having a lot of success, and it'll be really interesting to see her, really be pushed.
Right, with other people at her position and maybe just the speed of everything it takes care of. But she's definitely earned it with her last 2 years and has played well on the biggest stage and has had, like we said, two really back-to-back consecutive good state tournaments. So rounding out Class B is Shaylin Nagel. And again, I hope I'm pronouncing her name right, but she was another one, Avon, a team we just kind of fell in love with, right? We did.
We started the bandwagon, actually.
And we saw her right away. It was another one. We were watching another team of the Bonhomme tournament, and early on in the year, and looked across the gym, and we're like, who's that?
Yep, and then made a little star on our roster sheet, and actually decided she was a rising star right there. We gave her the award and the T-shirt right on the spot.
That's right, we did.
But we were super impressed with her, and like I said, she's got the height. Yeah. She was an underclassman. You kind of tell she maybe was a little bit quieter, but kind of coming into her own. Again, that Bonhomme tournament was at the beginning of the season,
right?
So she was still probably learning every single day, but have been super impressed with her and with the whole Avon squad.
Right.
Coming up, rounding out their season against that 5-setter
Chester.
with Chester.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and being the 17 or 15 seed, I guess, in the Sodak 16, but to see what they do now, I think they opened a lot of eyes, and of course, not sure exactly what they had as seniors, but she did. It will be interesting now with so many. It's a common theme to see what they do, what we saw last year, right? What we saw maybe at testing or camp, and see where they show up. Whether they're doing club, whether they're summer camps, whatever. It's going to be interesting. She's one, but the athletic ability, the size is definitely there for her to be, one of the top middles in the state. And so with that, usually do this, but we moved double A, out of the back. So let's talk about class double A. Only three, we chose three middles from class double A, and we had talked about with some of the departing names, this was a class, and also with double A, a lot of times girls were playing for 1 year, for 2 years. They're playing behind other girls who maybe are going off to college, but that's the case with class double A. So here with these three, you're going to see some that I think their best volleyball is definitely ahead of them. They probably got a taste of varsity last year, and are ready for huge years next year. So talk about some of those girls.
Yeah, so I think Libby Rounds really fits that
Yeah.
perfectly. She, Huron with Haven Hines last year, they had that solid emotional leader on that team.
Right, and Tenley Budenhagen too.
Yep.
Right.
She didn't necessarily have to be that person for her team. Now, offensively, I think they leaned on her a little bit more towards the end of the season when she really got going and really started learning the middle position. I believe she's one of the ones that they just kind of turned into a middle because they needed one.
Right.
Ended up having a pretty good season, but we were really impressed by her and the whole Huron squad. We know they're going to be, great young ladies, hardworking, and ready to compete.
Well, I think Libby may be different than some of these others, where maybe not quite as much of the height as you'd think of a Miller, but as of a middle. But she already has that established skill level, right? So her volleyball technique, her stabs, her footwork may be better than some of these others who may have her in height, right now, but athletic. Right, whether she's a middle, whether she's an outside, can play multiple positions. That's where they needed her, and she grew into a very solid middle in a very loaded class last year. So for her to get noticed, probably coming back, probably the top middle coming back, maybe would we think about? Yeah,
I think she definitely has almost all these girls on experience. Maybe Bailey Sobsack a little bit. Neck and neck there, but she'll be the oldest. She's the only senior on our middles list, so I think she'll have that confidence. I think she got a taste of it, and will really that'll push her moving forward.
Well, I forgot Bella Steffel, who we'll go in and talk about next, probably has her with experience as well, and would have to be, as far as returning, those two would have to be the ones, Class A you talk about. Bella played a ton for Brandon Valley. We got to see her quite a bit, just solid, especially defensively. I would put her probably with, Pater and Brooks overall, the top defensive middle, returning, and her offensive game continue to develop. Again, that was one of those that we've gotten to know a little bit better, and watching her again, such positive attitude. So, appreciative play for everything they give. It was fun to watch her last year, following the summer stuff, heading into their year. Brandon Valley came just short, losing to the next middle that we'll talk about, but in the round of 16, so they just missed state, but big things. And one thing when you talk with her coaches, hard work, but again, probably the tallest of the double A middles.
Yep, I think maybe Morrison Samuels.
Oh.
She'll probably keep growing, so who knows?
Right.
She's just a freshman this year, but Morrison Samuels of Harrisburg.
Right.
I think you noticed her first and was like, I think there's a 8th grader playing for Harrisburg. Of course, she's a freshman, but
Right.
I think we were really impressed with her youth and being able to play on such a big stage, being so young.
Right.
Didn't look scared at all. You see that a lot, especially in AA when you're not used to playing as a 14-year-old against some of these girls are 18. That's a 4-year difference. So I think she really held her own. Didn't put up huge numbers again because she was with Hallie Mertz and Abby Meister, who were both Future 50 outsides last year. So didn't have to maybe hold as much weight, didn't have that pressure on her a ton this season as a middle. But I think defensively she'll really have to work on, her technique a little bit, but she has all the skills, or all the tools, to be a really, really great all-around middle.
Yeah, and I think, the attitudes there we're looking for. And again, especially, harping and saying this, but AA level, it's hard to come in as an underclassman and be that leader, right? And so we're looking with a lot of these girls. We've seen them as kind of, a little quieter, timid underclassmen, and now that's part of taking that jump and going from being, okay, we had the abilities there, now is a leadership, and do you elevate and make your teammates better, and she's still going to be playing, alongside Abby next year, but some position versatility, I think, with Morrison as well, but the athletic attributes are there, and another one of those who was signed up for the Tom Tessie in Sioux Falls that got, Mother Nature decided we weren't going to do, but I was interested to see her and, like Brooks and all of them, Pater, and almost everybody on this list was signed up for that to see. We got a taste of this then, but it didn't happen. But Samuel's a very hard worker. What I'm going to look for her over the season is just her leadership and taking charge a little bit more vocally to go with the athletic skills that she already has.
Yeah, and I think that's what's so cool about this Future 50 event as a whole is that it really pushes the girls. None of them are going to be with all of their teammates on all these teams. So they're all going to have to really work on that leadership, the communication, those nonverbals, everything like that, which is just so, so good for them to take back to their high school teams.
Stepping out of their comfort zone, making new friends, right?
It's hard to do.
Yeah, for all of us, right? And then let's touch on Bailey Sobczak, Rapid City Stevens, and just somebody who we actually met, I think, during the club season first, and I got to see her at SummerSlam. She came, but you talk about that personality and that attitude that just jumps out at you. That was the first thing. And then, oh, by the way, an unbelievable athlete.
Yep, she's, I believe she's a pretty good basketball player too, but you can tell she is athletically gifted. Again, she moves around the court a little bit, can be an outside, if they need her to, but she actually led the state tournament in aces.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
Thanks for congratulations, Bailey.
But yeah, like one of those players that can do everything, and I'm excited to see her really step up this season during the off season and really make those improvements skill wise,
right?
To really compete with some of these upper level middles.
Yeah, and when we talk about that's what's so interesting for me. You're not talking about a group as a whole of slow feet, just stationary middles. There's some very athletic, multi-sport athletes in this group, and I think you talk about Bailey is what she does skill-wise to go with her athleticism. I think we've said that now about 5 of these guys, how they continue to develop, but also remembering that their best volleyball is next year and some of them the year after, right? And so this truly is a group of the Future 50. Some of them would almost qualify for the Rising Stars, right? But this, to see, that class of 2020 that's out the door and had very heralded careers, Players of the Year, National Player of the Year, something like that. Division I, I mean, so much talent. And now there's a void, and this is that next group to step up. Interesting to see and excited to watch them. But that's kind of the breakdown of our group of 13, I guess, middle blockers for the Future 50. We'll be back tomorrow. And what's our next group?
Our next group is going to be the outside. So we got the biggest group tomorrow. But super excited. We have a little bit of a mix in the outside. Some returning talent, some new. Really excited to see that group as well.
Awesome. And hey, everybody, once again, thank you. We appreciate if you're a Patreon subscriber, and if you think what we're talking about is worth it and is a good deal, pass on our information. We'd love to have more and more people sign up as we talk about all these great kids and the growing sport of volleyball here in South Dakota. So till tomorrow, thanks, Haley.
Yep, we will see you guys tomorrow as we talk about the outsides.